Daily Trust News Center. This is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, reactions trail President Muhammadu Buhari's indefinite postponement of 2023 census. Federal government says first batch of Sudan evacuees to arrive Nigeria in the coming hours. 2 Zamfara abducted victims killed, 74 others regained freedom after 20 days in captivity. On the foreign scene, suspected terrorists kill 33 soldiers in Burkina Faso attack. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Nten Ekbang with the details. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the postponement of the 2023 population and housing census, earlier scheduled for 3rd to 7th of May 2023. The president gave the approval after a meeting on Friday with some members of the Federal Executive Council and the chairman of the National Population Commission and his team at the presidential villa in Abuja. A new date for the census is to be determined by the incoming administration, but the meeting stressed the need for the conduct of the exercise to collect up-to-date data that would drive the development goals of the country and improve the living standards of the Nigerian people. The president noted that with the completion of the enumeration area demarcation of the country, conduct of the first and second pre-tests, the recruitment and training of ad hoc workers, procurement of personal digital assistant PDAs and ICT infrastructure, appreciable progress has been made in the implementation of the 2023 population and housing census. He also commended the methodology being put in place by the Commission to conduct accurate and reliable census, especially the massive deployment of technology that is capable of delivering world-class census and laying a sustainable basis for future censuses. Governor Samuel Ortom of Benue State has lauded President Muhammadu Buhari for directing that the 2023 national population census be postponed. This is contained in a statement by his special advisor on media and publicity, Teve Akase, on Saturday in Makurdi. Ortom had on April 13 called on the federal government to postpone the planned census until adequate security was guaranteed in the country. The governor specifically stated that conducting the census will amount to injustice and deprivation of millions of Nigerians who have been displaced from their ancestral homes and are living in internally displaced persons camps in the state and other parts of the country. He further stated that he understood from the National Population Commission that those to be counted must be counted in their localities. He said that with the postponement of the census now approved by Buhari, the federal government should ensure that Nigerians whose communities had been taken over by bandits and armed herders regain their lands and return home. And still on census, some residents of Makurdi, the Benue State capital, have been reacting to the postponement of the 2023 census, which was scheduled for the 3rd to 7th of May 2023. The federal government had, in a statement by the Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, conveyed the president's approval of the postponement. The report.
Some of the ad hoc staff recruited for the exercise said it was disappointing to hear of the postponement. They also spoke of the economic expectations and appealed to the federal government to improve on its national commitments.
I feel very, very, very bad at postponement of the census because I'm even supposed to travel to Enugu for a job interview. Because I'm even waiting to do the census before any other thing. That they should try and do the census so that we, the youth, will be able to have something to invest on, because there's no job in the country. But with this census that all of us applied, we are having hope that at least we are going to invest in 1 or 2 entrepreneurs.
Experts who spoke on Trust TV said the postponement was expected due to certain anomalies in the build-up to the exercise. They expressed disappointment with postponement and wish it was executed because of the financial and human resources already invested in the process.
My worry is that It is good that this administration was determined to conducting census after 17 years. Now, the problem, however, is that we were told that even resources were provided for the census in terms of money and all that is needed. From what the president said, PDAs were procured, ad hoc staff have been trained at different levels. So when I got the news, I was imagining what could have been responsible for the postponement, what warranted the postponement. Are they aware of the economic implication of this? Remember that ad hoc staff at certain levels have been trained and already been paid, with huge sums of money already committed. So I don't actually see the reason why the postponement. Government is a continuum. Does it mean that the the chairman of the National Population Commission and his commissioners are going with the outgoing administration?
The last population census was conducted in Nigeria 17 years ago. As it stands, the residents said only time shall tell if Tinubu's government will consider it necessary to conduct the exercise.
What if the next administration comes and want to postpone it, to even suspend the exercise for now? Why not go ahead and conduct the census? He has the powers till May 29th. Census was to be conducted and concluded around May 7th. So this should have been done. So what if the incoming administration comes on board and decides to suspend the whole exercise?
Before the postponement, there were calls from stakeholders like Governor Samuel Otom of Benue State, who called for cancellation, citing the displacement of millions of Nigerians from their ancestral homes as
And still on the exercise, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has described President Muhammadu Buhari's approval of the postponement of the 2023 census as a welcome development. He disclosed this on his official Twitter handle on Saturday. According to him, a national census is a critical development and nation-building tool. He argued that even though Nigeria is long overdue for a census, conducting one requires proper planning and diligence to ensure the sanctity of the results. And still on reactions to the postponement, activist and frontline banker Atedo Peterside on his Twitter account thanked God for the postponement, adding that the census was not needed. Former Head Bureau of Public Sector Reform Joe Abba said attention should be on the National Identification Number NIN, which he said should be tied to the birth and death registers that the NPC holds. A former Statistician General of the Federation, Yemi Kala, said there is already huge information via BVN, NIN, and the rest, and according to him, what Nigeria should do is to first harmonize and get registrants to update whatever added information that is required by online offering benefits or incentives to get people to update their information. Away from that now, the first batch of Nigerian evacuees from Sudan is set to arrive in the country. A Saturday joint statement from the Ministries of Foreign Affairs as well as Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development said the evacuees are currently in Egypt but will land in the country in no time. Now, while giving further details about the stranded Nigerians in Sudan, the statement signed by the permanent secretaries of the Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Janet Olisa and Nasir Sani Guazo of the Humanitarian Ministry, noted that over 600 people have been taken to Egypt while more are expected to join them this Saturday. Equally, they dismissed the outcry over the $1.2 million earmarked by the federal government for the evacuation process. Now, efforts to evacuate Nigerians from war-torn Sudan seem to have suffered another setback as buses meant to evacuate more Nigerians have refused to leave Khartoum to Egypt. Now, one of the coordinators of the evacuation efforts and a Nigerian also stranded in that country, Hamid Al-Hassan, says the buses were yet to move because the company was yet to confirm payment from the Nigerian authorities. Although the payment was said to be made on Friday, the company was yet to make the confirmation. Earlier, I spoke with Hamid Al-Hassan from Khartoum, who is helping with the evacuation efforts, and he brought us up to speed with the events there.
We actually got about 29 buses that is from what I got from NEMA, that will be evacuating students from Khartoum to Egypt. So most of the buses actually came here to the campus where I'm situated right now, which is within the campus of the International University of Africa. And then a few of the buses went to the other secondary campus. And then we all boarded the bus. You know, we boarded the bus, we sat in the bus. We thought the buses were arranging themselves and sorting out the gate or something like that. But then getting to like 5 p.m. after sitting in the bus since about 3 p.m., you know, we discovered that nothing is going on. So I came down and started asking around. I talked to the drivers and they told me that they were waiting for payment, you know. So I had to now call back to NEMA because I have been in contact with him in these few days to report to him directly to see how he can sort things out. And he told me that the payment was actually made last night through the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs with one PAMSEC. And he actually made it clear to me that he was actually talking to the PAMSEC when the payment was made last night. That really broke my heart, because if the payment was made last night to the company in Nigeria, which has a subsidiary here in Sudan, then why are we stranded? Why are we not moving out? As I'm speaking to you right now, we've all we are now off the bus, and I'm back into the mosque as usual, which is actually my post, and that is where I'm talking to you from right now.
Okay, yeah. With what is happening right now, like Nigerian government said payment was made last night, being Friday, and Saturday 5 p.m. and more. You're saying that you're still stranded. What do you think is responsible for that? And moving forward, what is Nigerian authorities supposed to do to get you guys out of Khartoum for Egypt, awaiting the flight that will convey you guys back to Nigeria?
Well, you see, to be very frank, for you to actually understand what is happening right now with regards to the arrangement with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, I have to take you back to the initial, the root of this problem, actually. So the arrangement was made between NEMA and the Embassy of Nigeria here in Sudan to actually evacuate us. And the agreement that was hashed out between NEMA and the Embassy of Sudan was that the whole evacuation program will cost about $1.2 million, okay? And the embassy clearly stated that there has to be a down payment of $400,000 to provide 40 buses that will evacuate students from Khartoum to Egypt. On completion of all the evacuation, the balance of $800,000 will be paid. And they got the $400,000. The embassy told us they got the $400,000. And all of a sudden, they just came in with 13 buses, you know, and took students out of the university. The second day, we actually thought that more buses are going to come. Nothing came, and that was when we actually started. I started this campaign.
Okay. Now, we've had stories about, because of these challenges that you've mentioned and you've seen on ground, we had stories about state government individually coming to evacuate citizens from their various states. What was the update on that? And we also heard that the ones that left yesterday, was the update on their movement? Have they reached Egypt, awaiting conveyance to Nigeria, as it were?
To be very frank with you, everything is just a big ball of mess at this moment, because, like you mentioned, yes, some state governments are coming to pick some of their citizens here, but actually they're not picking all the citizens. They're only picking citizens that are under state scholarships. Can you imagine that? So anybody from, let's say, Kaduna State or Kano State that is not under Kano State scholarship, and the governor actually sends a bus to pick them up, then if you're not under the state scholarship, you're just grounded.
I really appreciate your efforts and all other people who are trying to get Nigerians out. And I'm sure that we're hopeful that the Nigerian government will make sure that things are done right so they can get you guys out of that place as soon as possible. Thank you very much for joining me,
Exactly.
Hamid.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Hamid Al Hassan there, one of the Nigerians in Khartoum, trying to help with the efforts of evacuating Nigerians back to our country. He spoke to me earlier on. Now let's move on now. 74 out of the 96 abducted members of the Wanzmai village at Safe local government area of Zamfara state have regained freedom after payment of 6 million naira ransom to the abductors. A resident of the troubled village disclosed that the abductors released 74, killed 2 victims and held back 20 persons in captivity. Now reports say many of the 74 victims brought into the village were taken to a private hospital for medical screening as they could not walk properly as a result of the sufferings the abductors had subjected them to. The 96 persons were said to have been abducted in the affected village, but one of the victims later escaped, leaving 95 victims behind. The abductors are insisting that families of the victims must add more money before they will free the remaining 20 persons still in captivity. Now, it will be recalled that on Friday, 7th April, suspected terrorists invaded Wanzmai village and abducted 96 women and children to an unknown location, demanding 3 million naira ransom from families of the victims. The abducted Federal Commissioner of the National Population Commission, the NPC, for Bayelsa State, Gloria Izonfor, has been released. Now, she was kidnapped Sunday evening along with her maid and driver at Ogbakiri Junction on the East-West Road. While details surrounding her release are still sketchy, reports say she was released after spending 5 days in the kidnappers' den. Confirming the release, the spokesperson for the Rivers State Police Command, Grace Iringe Koko, said she was released on Friday along with her driver and maid, adding that they have been reunited with their families. Iringe Koko, however, declined to confirm whether or not any ransom was paid to secure her release. Izonfor was kidnapped around Ogbakiri in a Mohua local government area of Rivers State on her way back from Bayelsa, where she had gone on a trip. Relatives of those who lost their lives in the recent clash between farmers and herders in Taraba community of Akwanga local government area of Nasarawa State have decried the incessant attack by gunmen in their communities. They expressed their displeasure during an interview with Trash TV on the aftermath of the attack by the invaders. The report.
On April 16, 2023, Chacharimada community of Kokona local government was engulfed by a communal crisis between farmers and herders, which led to the death of about 12 people with property worth millions of naira destroyed by gunmen.
My house was set ablaze by gunmen on Monday last week. I saw people shouting and running from pillar to post when the invaders, fully loaded with heavy arms, stormed our communities and started shooting sporadically into the air, scaring the locals away before setting our houses ablaze and destroying crops in our farmland. I lost one of my eldest sons in the attack, Samuel Anthony. He had gone to check his sugarcane plantation after returning from a church service. Unfortunately, his corpse was brought back the following day. I lost my husband in the attack. We don't have food to eat and hardly get enough water to drink. The very first day I went with my husband to check our sugarcane plantation, we noticed that our sugarcane and plantain were destroyed by gunmen.
Meanwhile, the farmers and herders have agreed to shield their swords and live in peace with one another after the recent misunderstanding between them. They made their decision known through the signing of peace accord in Kokona local government area of the state. The letter of undertaking was read by the Secretary of the Council, Clement Agavi.
Sequel to the last crisis that engulfed Tatara community of Kokona local government on the 16th day of April 2023, which led to several loss of lives and destruction of properties worth millions of naira.
We the herders have been staying in peace with the farmers, but along the line, one of their sons had a little misunderstanding with one of our sons without any provocation, and he hit him on his head with a stick And that is how the problem started.
So we actually went to report in the police station. They came, we brought the cop home. Then in the morning on Monday, so our youth, they were moving around, going to one area like this, near where Fulani are residing. So they wanted to ask him what happened to one of our police in the village. He said, jump onto them. Instantly, they kill another person, make it two.
When people coexist in a society, in a community, there is bound to be friction of interest. But this one that happened was highly unexpected and highly uncalled for.
Meanwhile, Garakuwe's primary Angola loco is to serve as temporary shelter to persons displaced by the invaders' attack on Tatara community in a Congo local government area of Nasarawa State. However, the facility hardly provides the required soko sought by the IDPs as they complain of sleeping in the open at night with no roof over their heads. Trust TV observed that the classroom doors are locked, denying the IDPs access to the supposed abode.
Police operatives in Kano State have intercepted 4 AK-47 rifles from suspected criminals along Kano-Bauchi Road. Now, this is contained in a statement signed by the Command's Public Relations Officer Abdullahi Haruna Kiwaya on Friday. He said the rifles were recovered by a Safer Highway Patrol team while conducting an intelligence-led stop-and-search operations in Garkot local government area of the state. He urged residents of the state to be more security conscious and report suspicious persons or items to the nearest police stations. The Jigawa State High Court has sentenced 4 men to death by hanging and 1 other to life imprisonment for alleged culpable homicide. The court, presided over by Justice Ahmed Muhammad Abubakar, found Salahuyo Aminu Salamano Shafiu and Yusuf Saleh guilty of culpable homicide and sentenced them to death by hanging. The men were also found guilty of other charges including criminal conspiracy, criminal trespass, and unlawful assembly, and were sentenced to prison terms ranging from 2 years to 3 months or made to pay fines. According to the prosecution, the defendants from Kalawa village in Ringim local government area of Jigawa State were responsible for the murder of an individual. Now, delivering the sentence, the judge stated that the prosecution had successfully proven the case beyond every reasonable doubt. The Oyo State Police Command has paraded an 18-year-old for allegedly killing his father while the father was asleep. The boy was paraded alongside other suspected criminals for other offences at the command headquarters in Eleyele, Ibadan. The report.
In his efforts towards ensuring a relatively peaceful environment devoid of criminal acts, the Oyo State Police Command has arrested and will be prosecuting these suspected criminal syndicates for various crimes. One of them is this 18-year-old who was arrested alongside his mother for taking the life of his father while sleeping. The police revealed that the suspect struck his father with an iron rod where he was sleeping, leaving him with a serious injury on his forehead.
Preliminary investigations revealed that on the 21st of April 2023, at about 23:00 hours, which is 11 p.m., the suspect, Adiagbo Ismail, struck his late father on the head with an iron rod where he was sleeping, and that led to his death.
The boy who confessed to the crime revealed that although his mother always suffered domestic violence in the hands of his father, he never committed the crime as a revenge for his mother's ordeal.
It is not that I did it to support my mother. Sometimes when they are fighting, as kids, we don't support anyone. My mother usually reports to me, but I never say anything.
I've been married to my husband for more than 30 years now. Anytime he beats me, I don't do anything. My entire body is full of bruises. In the same vein, the police also paraded other suspects for various crimes like armed robbers who specialize in hijacking and diversion of trailers loaded with valuable items. Others were paraded for kidnapping, conspiracy, and impersonation.
You're watching News Hour on Trust Television. Coming up after the break, we take a look at the business of tie and dye. Until then, please stay with us.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Treated a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching News Hour on Trust Television. Let's recap the stories that made our headlines tonight. Reaction trailed President Muhammadu Buhari's indefinite postponement of 2023 census. And federal government says first batch of Sudanese evacuees to arrive Nigeria in the coming hours. Moving on to other stories now, the President-elect Bola Tinubu has thrown his weight behind Ododo Ahmed Usman, the anointed candidate of Governor Yahaya Bello for the Kogi State governorship seat. Now, Tinubu gave his blessings on Saturday while hosting Ododo and Bello at his residence in Abuja. The President-elect urged party members in the state to work towards the party's victory at the polls. He stated that Kogi has been an APC stronghold with consistent electoral victories since 2015 and expressed confidence that Ododo will emerge victorious in November. The president-elect also commended the party leadership and supporters for their overwhelming victory in the last general election. Earlier, the governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, who led Ododo on the visit, said that party members choose him as the candidate based on his capacity, competence and ability to lead effectively. The Kano State New Nigeria People's Party Governorship Transition Committee is accusing the state government of sabotage and ensuring a smooth transition come May 29, 2023. Addressing a news conference, the chairman of the committee, Bafa Bichi, told reporters that since the inauguration of the committee early this month, they have been trying to reach out to the government committee to no avail. According to the chairman, the NNPP Transition Committee, having failed to secure the attention of the state government, has now resolved to commence a special engagement with all permanent secretaries, heads of departments and directors of personnel of all the 44 local government areas of the state with a view to obtaining all necessary information to help the smooth transition of power.
The efforts that we are making to ensure a smooth transfer of power and the active non-cooperation and outright resistance that we are encountering from the outgoing government of Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. On the 3rd of April we wrote a letter to the chairman of the government committee, who is also the secretary to the state government, formally notifying them of the formation of the gubernatorial transition committee and asking them for a joint meeting, rather than replying our letter and honoring our request for a joint meeting. We were surprised to receive a letter on the 4th of April from the government asking us to provide the names of 3 persons to join the government committee. We were made to understand that the thinking of the outgoing government is that there should be a joint transition committee in which the outgoing government should have 80% of the membership, while the incoming government should have 20% of the membership. Given the outright refusal of Governor Ganduje to inaugurate his transition committee and their inability to meet with our committee to agree on the modalities for the transition process, we are compelled by circumstances to, on behalf of the incoming administration of His Excellency Engineer Abba Kabir Yusuf, to invite all permanent secretaries in the civil service to attend an interaction with the gubernatorial transition committee.
Meanwhile, the Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has reiterated his administration's commitment to ensuring a peaceful and seamless transition to the incoming government. In a statement by the State Commissioner for Information and Internal Affairs, Muhammad Garba, the governor dismissed insinuations by the new Nigeria People's Party, the NNPP, that the outgoing administration is undermining the transition program. Garba stated that the main transition committee and the various subcommittees at the levels of ministries, departments and agencies, MDAs, are working tirelessly towards preparing a handover note to the incoming administration. He also explained that the inclusion of the representatives from the incoming government was based on the need to ensure transparency and openness in the process. He also called on certain elements of the incoming government to tread carefully, work for a smooth transition process and avoid anything that could sabotage the process. Suspended resident electoral commissioner for Adamawa State, Hudu Yunusa Ari, has said that he declared the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, winner of the governorship election in that state to save the democratic process. Ari said he acted in accordance with the powers conferred on him by the Electoral Act as the chief coalition officer in Adamawa State. This was contained in a 4-page letter he wrote to the Inspector General of Police from his hiding. The embattled REC accused the 2 national commissioners deployed to the state to supervise the April 15 supplementary election of collecting bribe from Governor Ahmad Fintiri to declare him winner of the governorship election in Adamawa State. In the letter, which was hand-dated April 20, the embattled REC also accused the 2 national commissioners of usurping his responsibility as the resident electoral commissioner. He denied any wrongdoing in declaring the candidate of the APC, Aishatu Dahiru Binani, the winner of the governorship election, saying he acted within the responsibility vested on him by the Electoral Act as the resident electoral commissioner in Adamawa State. Now, the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, has given the federal government 2 weeks to increase the Consolidated Medical Salary Structure, CONMES. The association made this known on Saturday in a communique issued at the end of the extraordinary council meeting of the National Executive Council, NEC, held in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. The communique, which was made available to newsmen, was signed by the President Innocent Orji, Secretary General Kelechi Chikezie, and the Publicity and Social Secretary Musa Umar. He said the increment should be to the tune of 200% of the current gross salary of doctors and also be in addition to the new allowances included in the letter written to the Minister of Health in 2022 for the review of CONMES. According to the association, it observed that in spite of several engagements with the federal government on the need to upwardly review CONMES, which was last reviewed over 10 years ago, there are no changes. It added that the previous collective bargaining agreement, CBA, on CONMES stated clearly that the salary structure would be due for review after 5 years, but this has not been done since the implementation in 2014, though the approval was given far back as 2009. The Nigerian Labour Congress, the NLC, says the National May Day celebration in Abuja will be held on the streets to enable Congress to deepen its reconnection with the people. The General Secretary of the Congress, Emmanuel Ogboaja, said this in a statement he signed on Saturday in Abuja with the title National May Day Celebration in Abuja, Change of Venue. Ajeto states that the takeoff point shall be at the national headquarters of the Nigerian Labour Congress NLC by 8 o'clock in the morning. He added that all affiliate unions are to assemble on the grounds of the Pascal Barfield Labour House on Monday, the 1st of May, from where they shall proceed on a rally around Abuja. He, however, assured workers of the NLC's continued commitment to the traditions and values of the Nigerian worker. Meanwhile, the federal government has reversed its decision on the disapproval of the Eagle Square for the Nigerian Labour Congress to hold its May Day celebrations. Pioneer Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission, the NBC, Professor Tom Adaba, has paid tributes to renowned Nigerian journalist, author and publisher Peter Enahoro. Enahoro, also known as Peter Pan, was, in addition to all his achievements, the first chairman of the NBC. Professor Adaba described as a complete professional and a wonderful person to work with. He spoke with Kehinde Amoju.
Also known by the pen name Peter Pan because of his column in the New African magazine, Enahoro has been described as perhaps Africa's best-known international journalist. But his professional competence went beyond print journalism, which is why when he was first announced as chairman of the NBC, there was an initial hue and cry.
The first thing that was an issue then was, how come? The man has been a print media man. What's his business with broadcasting? And so on and so forth. Not knowing that for the length of time that this man was on self-exile in Europe, he was running a radio station in Radio Deutsche Welle in Germany. He was also doing some television stints. So he was virtually an all-rounder.
But Professor Adaba says Peter Enahoro was a perfect fit for the national chairman of NBC, as evidenced by what the commission was able to achieve in the early years.
I enjoyed my stay with him, my work with him, because we were on the same wavelength. We worked very well, hand in hand, in all our undertakings, not just him and me, but the entire board members. Because some other board members were great broadcasters too. And
as tributes continue to pour in for Enahoro, who died in London on the 24th of April at the age of 88, there are probably similar forgotten parts of him that will come to light. Kehinde Amoju, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And thousands of travelers were on Saturday morning stranded between Lafia, Lamode, Kwaname, Saje and Yolde community of Gombe State due to traffic gridlock. The gridlock was said to have occurred when a heavy articulated vehicle loaded with grains fell off the road while trying to dodge a pothole in its way to Gombe from Adamawa State. As a result of the incident, many commuters were or resorted to trekking. The gridlock had extended to as far as several communities along the major roads leading both Adamawa and Gombe State. Our residents of Lagos State on Saturday decried the serious hardship occasioned by the heavy traffic along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and other parts of Lagos State. And those traveling to Lagos and others returning from Lagos also lamented that they went through difficulties and wasted several man-hours during their journeys. Hamid Oyegbade has the report.
Ordinarily,
Lagosians are not strangers to traffic jams. However, their experience in the past few days has become a little unbearable for them. The traffic was grounded to a halt, with many left groaning.
Seriously, this traffic issue is so killing. Let's take for instance now. Yesterday I was supposed to be at home with my family, but because of this traffic, I had to park somewhere just to spend the night. And you know, this morning, hoping that the road would have been free for me to go home, but still, I'm still inside the same traffic I tried to skip yesterday. But seriously, I don't know.
Now they are fighting the road to one lane. People that are coming from Yanowuru, then people are coming from Koroduro there. All of us are going to Ibadan Expressway. Some people are spending a day, some people are spending 8 hours, 7 hours. That's how you are spending here. Then it's not supposed to be like that.
Am I going to Koroduro? So the bus I bought, I pay 400 at Toyota. At the end of the day, I drop at the Maryland. I have to take from Maryland to Ikiti now.
The traffic affected 3rd Mainland Bridge to Ogudu, Oshodi to Ikeja, Beja to Ikeja, and Maryland to Ojota, as well as Charlie Boy connecting Ikorodu Road and Ibeju to Abraham Adesanya. Other affected areas include Agidingbi, Isheri, and Adeniyi Jones area. The residents said the traffic jam is as a result of the ongoing road rehabilitation and appealed to the construction company handling the project to expedite the work.
This issue is from what's it called? This Beggar Road. But I don't think this issue is supposed to be like this for as long as this, because they say they are fixing road. They fix road when people are supposed to go to work and all that. It's not supposed to be like that. Seriously, they should please help us with these stuff. They should do the right thing at the right time. At least all these people can work during the night while people are asleep. It's not when people are moving from here to there they have to fix road.
Maybe they could have been working the night, which will be more preferable, because we are avoiding hold up. But we know that this construction they are doing cause the problem.
This hold up in Lagos has persisted since the day before yesterday. I want to call upon the Lagos State government to do everything necessary to fix the bad roads in Lagos, especially the road along Baja into Lagos. Given the busy nature of Lagos roads, the residents urged the Federal Ministry of Work and Lagos State government to work together to provide alternative routes to the roads under rehabilitation. Amit Ojegbade, Trust TV News.
Now, 5 persons have lost their lives in a fatal motor accident along Amasoma-Tombia Road in Yenagoa local government area of Bayelsa State. Our Daily Trust gathered that the accident, which occurred on Friday evening, was a head-on collision between a Mazda car and a black Toyota SUV. The Mazda car was said to be conveying about 7 passengers, some believed to be students of the Niger Delta University NDU from Amasoma, southern Ijo local government area to Yenagoa, the state capital. 4 passengers in the Mazda car were said to have died immediately, while 1 was rescued alive and taken to the Niger Delta University Teaching Hospital, Okolobiri. The cause of the accident was not ascertained at the time of filing the report, but police authorities in Bayelsa State said they are investigating the cause of the crash as well as arresting the fleeing driver of the SUV. Police spokesman in Bayelsa State, Asinim Botswadho, confirmed the road crash, said the corpses of the victims have been evacuated and deposited at the Niger Delta University Teaching Hospital for autopsy. Now, a section of the palace of the Ooni of Ife has been razed by fire. The fire was attributed to a power surge. Aminu Yegbade reports that the building apartment within the courtyard of the palace was gutted by fire at about 11:30 p.m. on Friday. Residents said the fire started after an explosion through an electrical appliances in the affected apartment. The fire was put out through the combined efforts of the fire service, palace aides, and some indigenes. The palace spokesman Otumba Moses Olafare, who confirmed the incident, said the situation has been brought under control. Now, the people of Azare Katagum local government area of Bauchi State have identified blockage of waterways as a measure or as a major problem that needs to be addressed as part of early preparations to mitigate flooding and avert the 2022 devastating effects of flooding. Now, they expressed their concerns to Trust TV while reacting to the early commencement of the wet season there. Adamu Imam reports.
In 2022, Bauchi community suffered the devastating impact of flooding as a result of excessive rainfalls and thunderstorms. Although Azare town is not among the worst hit areas by flooding last year, however, 29 people were reported killed, while 4,500 farmlands and 8,457 houses were submerged by water, according to the State Emergency Management Agency. People of the area are concerned about the indiscriminate dumping of refuse on the waterways, as this can lead to flooding with devastating effects. This is a big problem here during rainy season. We experience a lot of challenges. Even small children die here inside the waterways. It also attracts mosquitoes inside our shops. We usually go home. When we come back tomorrow, we discover fresh refuse dumped inside. I think people are the cause of this problem. I think clearing of environment is everybody's business. We are the neighbors of these problems. The shop owners should contribute by clearing regularly so that we avert possible flood disaster here, since there are signals of excessive rainfall this year. Meanwhile, Saadu Musa and Musa Bello has a contrary view. They believe that government has the responsibility of arresting the situation through enforcement. Government can make a lot of impact in mitigating the problems at the local level by encouraging people with tools, especially those living in the flood-prone areas, to ensure all measures are put in place by calling people's attention periodically on the danger ahead. To me, the authority has a huge responsibility. If there are issues affecting the society, they know how to approach it holistically, particularly this problem of dumping refuse inside waterways. Recently, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency warned many communities to expect heavy rainfall and prepare for possible flooding during the 2023 rainy season. Adamu Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Now, tie and dye business is an age-long craft that was predominantly in the southwestern part of Nigeria. The craft, which seems to have been abandoned, is now finding its way back to the society through the hands of young people. Let's join one of the young persons that is bringing back tie and dye.
Adire, popularly known as tie and dye, is quite common among West Africa countries, and in Nigeria, it is mostly common among the Southwesterners. Some Nigerian youths have taken to it as an entrepreneurship skill for business. Doyinmola Olajoye is an African lady who is passionate about the African culture and style. She's a rare combination of beauty and brilliance. Her passion for the promotion of the African indigenous culture through sustainable fashion and African textiles is an assignment she has embarked on and has sustained for 4 years. This makes her stand out amongst her peers. Doyinmola, in an exclusive interview, spoke on how she started the tie and dye business.
I didn't have the skill myself. I was only a fashion model. But then after I won, I was the second runner-up. I was not the main queen. However, since I had told myself that it's something I wanted to work on, after 4 months of my win, I actually proceeded to start training people on how to make Ankara crafts and all of that. But for some reasons, I had to, of course, pause again, because finances is always a very, very important part of any project that one wants to do. So what I did was I went to learn how to do a craft. Of course, since I am big on culture and creativity, I decided to choose Adire, which is indigenous, and I went for that, and after a while I started training people, and then business was just it for me, because of course with business you can share your value and make money in return. That was really how I started.
Just like in every business there are challenges, the tie and dye business is not left out. Doyinmola spoke on some of the challenges she faces in the business.
And you know how I see challenges, I'm really excited that I was not asked this particular question in this way. So what are the problems that you face? Because many times I'm like, no, they're not problems, so to speak. They're really just things that would help push you up. And some of the challenges, of course, as a creative person, you want to be so big on, okay, let me use these colors, let me do this Adira design, let me, just explore creativity. But many times it's not about the business. Imagine how I even started. It was not about business for me. So I had to struggle with balancing how I make money, how I use this business to make money, than how I focus on the creativity aspect. But of course, that's not what I'm facing right now. I think in the early days, in the second year, I was more of, okay, let me do this to get this to this person. But it was not so much about business. So, low sales, but still fair.
A continuous dedication and commitment to African renaissance is no doubt commendable and worthy of emulation.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. A very short break beckons, and there will be more news when we come back. Don't go away.
This is Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. Let's now join Chiamaka Nwafo, who is standing by with the very latest in the world of business. Chiamaka, take it away from there.
The Nigerian Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) has announced that it has opened the regulatory incubation program for fintech firms operating or seeking to operate in the Nigerian capital market. The regulatory body said that the portal will be open from the 28th of April 2023 to the 26th of May 2023. They added that unregistered fintech innovators that require regulation are encouraged to apply. The Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC) said the move to open a portal comes from a 2021 agreement announcing the regulatory incubation RI program for fintech firms seeking to participate in Nigeria's capital markets. SEC noted that companies that want to apply and participate in the regulatory incubation program must demonstrate and meet the 5 eligibility criteria. The statement revealed that fintechs in the areas of crowdfunding, robo-advisory / digital investment advisory, and sub-broker serving multiple brokers using a digital platform are urged not to apply, adding that there are already regulations for them. And finally, in stocks, the market opened for 4 trading days this week due to public holidays to mark the Eid al-Fitr celebration. A total turnover of 14.029 billion shares worth 59.007 billion naira in 24,048 deals was traded this week by investors on the floor of the exchange. The conglomerates industry, measured by volume, led the activity chart, while the financial services and oil and gas industries followed in second and third place. The top 3 trading equities, namely Transnational Corporation PLC, Access Holdings PLC, and Fidelity Bank PLC, accounted for 13.116 billion shares worth 47.928 billion naira in 6,614 deals, contributing 93.49% and 81.22% to the total equity turnover volume and value respectively. The NGX All-Share Index and market capitalization appreciated by 2.04% to close the week at 52,403.51 and 28.534 trillion naira respectively. 49 equities appreciated in price during the week, with 17 others depreciating in price, while 90 equities remain unchanged. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Thank you, Chiamaka. Let's quickly take some foreign news now. An attack by suspected terrorists killed at least 33 soldiers in eastern Burkina Faso on Thursday, the army said. a contingent of troops came across a complex large-scale attack in the East region, which also left 12 soldiers wounded, according to an army statement. The soldiers neutralized at least 40 terrorists before the arrival of reinforcements during the particularly intense fighting, it added. The wounded troops have been evacuated and are being treated by the health services, the army said. Burkina Faso has been grappling with a bloody insurgency since 2015, when unrest spilled over from neighboring Mali. Fighting between the security forces and groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State group has left thousands dead and forced millions of people to flee their homes. In the world of sports, the Abuja International Marathon on Saturday produced its first set of champions as Kenya's Emmanuel Naibet and Bahrain runner Ruth Jebede emerged as the winners of the men and women's category, respectively. Now, despite the myriads of challenges that beset the organizing the first edition of the Abuja International Marathon, the heavens were kind to the historic race held Saturday at the Federal Capital Territory. The FCT provided perfect weather that aided Kenya's Emmanuel Naibet to emerge champion of the first Abuja Marathon with a time of 2 hours 13 minutes 45 seconds. The winning time is the best ever recorded in any first edition of marathon races in Nigeria. Now, this is the second time Naibet is winning a marathon in Nigeria, having also won the 2021 edition of the Access Bank Lagos City Marathon. And with that, we've come to the end of News Hour today on Trust Television. And just before we go, do not forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Nten Ekpang. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now.
From the Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.